Hey guys, what is up? It is Kat here. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today for our reaction to Ahsoka Part 3. For those of you who don't know, I do realize I forgot to mention this in my previous video, the reason I am releasing this content so after the fact. It is because I made the personal decision not to cover, react to, review any struck film or television media on the channel during the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes, and so that is why you are seeing this video now. But thank you so much regardless for joining me today. Here we go, episode 3. I've got to say, not that I didn't enjoy episodes, or rather part 1 and part 2 before during the first viewing. However, after rewatching them, I think I actually liked them a lot more. Kind of, I have to get the initial viewing experience out of my system, you know, all that kind of like pent up angst and anxiety, and just, you know, release all of the tension from waiting for the episodes for, you know, from week to week. So that said, I think I definitely liked part 1 and 2 more upon my rewatch. And again, that's not to say that I didn't like them the first time around, but after the second time I liked them a lot more. So I'm actually really hopeful here for part 3. I'm going in excited and hopeful, and coming off of rewatching the first 2 parts, which again I really enjoyed even more the second time around. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Hera tangles with New Republic politics while Ahsoka and Sabine Wren voyage to a distant planet. Okay, this is actually very exciting because they had been establishing in part 1 and part 2, and obviously some foreshadowing that we had seen in Mandalorian that I touched on in my reviews of the previous 2 episodes. There's definitely been a trend of them establishing how fragile and frankly incompetent in some respects. That said though, I don't necessarily want them to just be roasting. You know, I would like to believe the New Republic has some sort of backbone, so maybe they'll show a little bit more of, you know, explanation of, you know, they're trying, but as they alluded to in part 2, an empire doesn't just become a republic overnight. So hopefully they touch a little bit more on the leadership. What kind of game plan do they necessarily have, if any? Like, what is actually going on behind the scenes? And perhaps this is where we will see the queen herself, Genevieve O'Reilly, appearing in this episode, making her cameo. So we'll see. Without further ado, let's get to it. The music so far, the score has been on point.
Let's try something else. Your skill with a weapon comes from your Mandalorian upbringing, but you must also open your mind.
According to Hu Yang, I'm the worst candidate to be a Jedi out of every Jedi he's ever known.
You told her that? It's true. Put this on. I want you to see with more than just your eyes. Do you know where I am?
Next to Hu Yang.
Are you sure?
Huh?
Feel my presence. Sense my intention.
Like this music, I'm jamming.
Anger and frustration are quick to give power. They also unbalance you. Let's go again.
We've heard that from Anakin before. Ooh, hello. Hello, Fleet.
Chancellor?
She's waiting. There are several senators with her.
Let's go, Mon Mothma. Let's go.
Chancellor Mothma, senators. How's young Jason?
Fine, Chancellor. In fact, he's on board. I was attacked by Imperial loyalists, still working for Morgan Elspeth. Long live the Empire doesn't sound like the kind of loyalty we're looking for. I believe their activity speaks to a larger operation.
It always does.
Involving Thrawn. I have reason to believe he's alive. And that his allies are working on a way to find him.
Oh, I've got chills.
Certain of this?
Isn't this just another attempt to gain New Republic resources to find Ezra Bridger?
Ezra vanished while fighting Thrawn. Were you ever in the war, Senator?
Get him!
No.
Oh.
Just sat back and waited to see who came out on top.
Yes.
The Imperial fleet is scattered and broken. They have no centralized command.
Thrawn is not your typical Imperial officer. I know because I fought against him.
Grand Admiral Thrawn is dead. Your friend Ezra Bridger heroically died with him.
You don't know that.
General,
That much
They definitely changed his look.
Yeah, I know you do, Jason.
Don't make me cry. Don't make me cry right now.
I can't use the Force. I don't feel it.
You don't need it.
Force resides in all living things, even you. But training and focus are what truly defines someone's success.
I think they're setting her up for a big Force breakthrough, but I don't want her to have it. She's already amazing without it. You don't need it, girl. You don't need it.
The Jedi Order would not have accepted her.
By their standards,
Standards which were proven over a millennia.
and failed.
You realize
I need her to be herself.
now you do come from a long line of non-traditional Jedi. That way, she fits right in.
The family tree.
Unfortunately, I won't be joining you for this one. I'm sorry, Sabine. But it's not up to me. I don't decide I want to.
Era?
There also seems to be a second object, something much larger.
A Star Destroyer?
Negative.
Oh, hello.
Tell them, please. On it. So you got rid of my presets.
I never needed them.
So you say? Hey, hold it steady!
Remember, learn to anticipate.
Now's not the time for a lesson!
Several thoughts on everything else going
Yang,
on.
not now.
The way you're both acting, there won't be a later. If I had to guess, I would say it is some sort of hyperspace ring.
Morgan, they're entering your sector. Prepare turbo lasers.
Oh. It's turbo time.
Form up on my wing and wait for my signal.
He speaks. Okay.
Fighters are broken.
I am starting to receive data.
Manage the deflectors.
See if you can get a little closer.
Closer,
Please. Scan complete.
Oh, frick.
Congratulations. We almost got them. Our backup kicked in, but we're dead in space. No hyperdrive, no cannons.
I'm going up there.
Out there? Out where? Just keep working. I'll distract them.
Oh. Goodness gracious.
I see her.
Frick yeah.
I got it! I got it! Great. Now get me.
I'm tracking something up ahead.
Oh, frick. I was not expecting that. They look so good.
Pretty bad shape. Better set us down.
Complete. What did I miss?
We almost died.
Multiple times.
Haven't seen those creatures since the day Ezra disappeared.
The enemy vessel is still under construction and not yet complete.
So it is a hyperspace ring.
Yes, but I have never seen one built on this scale before. The Jedi archives speak of intergalactic hyperspace lanes between galaxies. Follow the migration paths of star whales named Purkle.
Jedi have taken refuge in the forest. Hunt them down.
Oh, and so it begins. But this outro song truly, though, is my new banger. This is amazing. I'm gonna be honest. It wasn't as difficult of a wait, you know, waiting between part 2 and this week here, honestly, because I love the way it kind of, I felt satisfied with parts 1 and 2, and I love the way that they had set up for obviously what the expected venture was to come, what is in store, what awaits, but that ending is definitely a little bit more, definitely a little bit more tough. It's gonna be a tough wait. They're getting into it now. And I love that moment after with Balin. They leave you there with his, you know, him pondering the situation, you know, what's the next move. And, you know, I'm very, very curious about what his interaction, you know, is obviously going to be with Ahsoka, as we have seen in the trailers. I'm sure they're going to face off. He's clearly not entirely like bloodthirsty. I think he's grappling with, you know, what is he actually going to do if he stands by his word, and if he actually genuinely believes that it would be a true loss to eliminate Ahsoka Tano entirely in a world where the Jedi are so far and few. If he actually truly believes that's interesting. That creates a very interesting internal conflict for him, but also a little bit of humanity for him. But we'll see what his backstory is. Hopefully a bit more. I'm sure we're going to get a little bit more about that and see whether he's, you know, he's not necessarily black or white one way or the other, but a little bit more morally gray perhaps. So I do love that we got to see more of Hera, and we got to see like her assertive war hero side, the leader that she truly is. And Jason Syndulla with the makeover, okay, was not expecting that. He definitely looks a little bit different than his animated version. I know his original introduction in the Rebels finale left some people divided in regards to his appearance, but he definitely looks like, he definitely had like Kanan's, you can tell he's like Kanan's child. He resembles him, even though we haven't even seen what live action Kanan looks like. Does that even make sense? Pulling at the heartstrings, knowing that he has Jedi aspirations, which that could be actually really freaking cool if they plant that seed and have some, like, I don't know, future post sequel content, maybe perhaps, or, you know, between this timeline and the sequels of Jason Syndulla as a Jedi. That can be sweet. I wasn't expecting to see him this early in the show, but as soon as Mon Mothma name dropped him, I was like, they'd better show him. But yes, definitely glad that we got to see a little bit more of Hera's like assertiveness and how commanding she truly is and how much she doesn't necessarily back down. And it felt true to the Hera that we know and that was established in Rebels, the leader. She doesn't back down. She is extremely against this war, and I love that she stuck it to the man and was like, yeah, I was fighting while you were sitting on your couch. I was freaking fighting this war, which is obviously a huge towards the end of Rebels, knowing how much Kanan wanted to prevent this war and was hoping for a day where the war wouldn't exist anymore. So to see that passion is still carrying over with Hera, and it's still something that means a lot to her, trying to prevent this all over, you know, again. I enjoyed seeing that, and that, you know, that spark of her character kind of really shone through there in that scene. And of course, it was great to see Genevieve. She's freaking amazing. I'm curious if this is the last we're gonna see of her in the show, but it's very clear, you know, they definitely highlighted that the New Republic are not exactly interested in exploring, you know, the current cracks in their already fragile system. Clearly they're kind of just brushing things under the rug. So of course, you know, they're setting up for, it's extremely believable that the current fledgling republic that they referred to it as, totally susceptible to, you know, a future downfall. It's believable the way that they're setting it up, that a first order or a new threat would come to arise in the future and overtake them. You know, the picture they're painting here, it's very believable that there's so much room for a new antagonist, a new threat to arise. I appreciate that they're setting that up and really doing a good job to establish that, you know, despite some of their best efforts, they're spread too thin. That was interesting to see a little bit of the dynamic and how Hera's hands are pretty much, you know, their hands are tied. They're not exactly in tip-top shape. So I do like that they're really exploring the fragility of the New Republic and kind of how they're just turning a blind eye. My biggest gripe was Sabine with the Force Force. She's already a boss. She's a Mandalorian. Like, she doesn't need it. They especially were really leaning into it in this episode, how the Jedi Temple, they would have rejected her, you know, back in the day. They've made that abundantly clear, and they were really tapping into it in this episode, and still showing though that she wants it. She feels like she's missing out, and she feels like she's incomplete because she doesn't have this connection to the Force, because she feels like she lacks the talent. And so naturally, of course, that's gonna have, you know, that's gonna be messing with her confidence a little bit, naturally, of course. But that said, I think that could be a very interesting narrative to follow that path of establishing, like, yes, you know what, she doesn't have the Force, this is making her self-conscious, but with some evolution and self-growth, she's gonna come to embrace the fact that she doesn't need the Force because she's already amazing. She's already amazing. There were so many instances where they would show that even without the Force, she could hold her own against Ezra, who, yes, was very talented with the Force. If they can make it meaningful in some way, like if that's where this is going, I'm obviously not gonna lose sleep over it, to suggest and show like that's a whole new perspective of you know, what a Jedi is supposed to be, if they were to like explore the fact that maybe she doesn't have the Force, but that's okay, because guess what? A huge flaw of the Jedi was that sense of elitism. I'm getting extremely passionate about this, but again, I'm not gonna lose sleep if they do decide to, you know, have Sabine become Force sensitive and actually become a successful Force user and, you know, achieve her Jedi training and have this surge of self-confidence. If that's where this is going, like, I'm not gonna be upset. That said, I do like that we got to see a little bit of Ahsoka's, you know, training style, considering, you know, the entirety of the Clone Wars pretty much was watching Anakin training her in that dynamic, so it was really cool to see her in the master position now, and her approach to it, considering, you know, the way we saw her training and her evolution as a Padawan and whatnot. So that was really interesting, and I hope that they tap more into that if they do go the direction of Sabine just straight up can't wield the Force, and that's okay. You know, what would Ahsoka's outlook on that be, especially because she did forsake the Jedi way, and, you know, I could see her accepting the fact that her Padawan doesn't necessarily possess the Force, but that doesn't make her any less of a Jedi, you know, if that's what she really wants to be. I could see that fitting the narrative. There were things about the Jedi way that Ahsoka disagreed with, so perhaps this could be, I don't know. Obviously, seeing the live action Purrgil was sick. We did get that little taste of it in Mando season 3, but they looked freaking sick. They looked so good, and it's actually really interesting. I don't know if I ever really necessarily like perceived this in Rebels as much, but seeing them in live action, the ratio, the scale to them versus the ship, maybe it was just the fact, the action sequence of the ship's weaving in and out throughout the Purrgil, to get a real, like, I don't know, picture of how giant and massive they are. Maybe they scaled them up a little bit here in live action. I don't know. Let me know if that's just me, but they felt even more massive. That could just be me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just hallucinating, but that was obviously really cool and interesting to hear that Sabine obviously had not seen them since Ezra's disappearance. So that's actually really, I like the hopeful symbolism there. Really, really, really cool. By the time I upload this, the show's probably going to be over, but let me know how you're feeling about this episode down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are doing so well as always. May the Force be with you guys always, and I will see you guys again very, very soon. Bye guys.